Buongiorno tutti quanti. Oggi parliamo di un tema molto importante, i sostantivi. In questa video parlo dei sostantivi in generale, cosa sono, come identificarli e le proprietà di sostantivi sia in inglese sia in italiano o un'altra lingua ancora. Questo tema può essere difficile, quindi vi raccomando di stare attenti a ciò che dico. If this is the first video you've watched in this series, I'm going to encourage you to go to the beginning and get caught up with the material before pressing on here. I'm going to say right up front that Lesson 8 isn't going to talk much about Italian specifically, but please don't skip it. I included it for a reason, and that reason is that the information in this video is really important background information for what we're going to be covering in Lezione 9. One of the things that make this topic difficult for a lot of people is that most of us haven't studied grammar for a really long time, if we ever have. There are a ton of resources online for learning more about grammar. I'll include some of them in the description of this video, but since this is such a common struggle, I'm going to go over a few of the basics here, and we'll continue to touch on these points throughout the course as needed. You probably remember from grade school that a noun is a person, place, or thing. This is pretty broad, obviously, so you can break it down into a few different categories. Proper nouns are names, like Intel, Frank Sinatra, and Brazil, anything that's capitalized pretty much. Any noun that's not a proper noun is called a common noun. There are two main categories of common nouns, and those are tangible nouns and intangible nouns. Those are pretty much what they sound like. A tangible noun would be something like book or campsite, a thing. An intangible noun would be something like disgust or taxonomy. A quality, emotion, belief, or concept, all of which are themselves intangible nouns, by the way. These distinctions aren't hugely important, but it is important when you're learning a foreign language to know how to identify nouns, and these categories can help you do that. Another simple way to identify if a word is a noun is to stick a, an, or the in front of it. If it makes sense with any of those words in front of it, it's a noun. Nouns in English and Italian have a quality called number, numero. Nouns called nomi or sostantivi in Italian can be singular, singolare, or plural, plurale. If a noun is singular, it stands for just one thing. A dog, a wish, the island of Corsica, etc. Singular nouns can have a, an, or the put in front of them. Plural nouns stand for multiple things. Chairs, dreams, the Virgin Islands, and so on. Plural nouns can go with the, but not with a or an. In English, plurals usually end with s, although there are some plurals like women, children, fish, and mice that are irregular, meaning that they don't follow the usual pattern. There is a third property of nouns that we don't often think about in English, and that is gender, genere. This concept is really important in Italian. English has three genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter. A feminine noun refers to a female thing, like a woman or mare. Certain objects such as cars, ships, or homelands may also be considered feminine in English. Masculine nouns refer to male things, like boy or rooster. Neuter nouns refer to anything that doesn't have a natural gender. The concept of natural gender is simple and very important in English. Natural gender is the property of something being male or female, like your dog, an actress, or an uncle, for example. In English, grammatical gender is determined only by natural gender. Not so in Italian. Italian has only two genders, masculine and feminine. This is a major way that Italian differs from English, and that's why it's important for English speakers to know. The grammatical implications of this are huge because it means that there's no it in Italian. Everything is either masculine or feminine, he or she. When you learn Italian nouns, you need to learn whether the noun is masculine or feminine. There's no definite property of an object that determines the gender, unless, of course, it has natural gender. So a woman is going to be feminine, and a father is going to be masculine, and so on. Everything else you just have to memorize. Next lesson, lesson 9, is to show you what Italian nouns look like and how to tell if a noun is masculine or feminine. Although there is no definite way to predict whether a noun will be masculine or feminine, you can usually tell which one it is by the form of the word itself, and we'll go into that in more depth in lesson 9. I'm not going to assign homework for this lesson, but do start paying attention to words in English or in other languages you know and try to identify which words are nouns. Most should be obvious, but some may surprise you. Lesson 9 is going to talk about how all this applies to Italian, so stay tuned and subscribe if you found this video helpful. A presto!